If you truly desire a life filled with both prosperity and peace of mind, then take this idea and carve it deep into your understanding. Devote more effort to improving yourself than you do to your occupation. That one principle, if lived and not merely heard, can redirect the entire arc of a man's life. I've witnessed it time and time again. A person's income rarely outpaces their personal growth for long. Yes, once in a while, luck may toss someone a windfall, a sudden leap in fortune, but mark my words, unless the person expands to match the new level, the gains slip right through their fingers. Life has a curious way of balancing its scales. If fortune ever drops $1 million into your hands, then you must rise to become a millionaire in your thoughts, habits, and character, or the wealth will quietly find its way back to where it came from. Someone once quipped, "If you took all the money in the world and divided it evenly among every person, it wouldn't be long before it all returned to the same pockets." And while it might sound like a jest, there's a deeper truth lurking beneath it. You see, success is not something you chase down the street. It's not a prize at the end of a frantic race. Success is something you attract by becoming an attractive person. So the real pursuit is that moment a curtain lifted. I had spent years blaming the absence of dollars, never realizing I was missing the seed of thought that could produce them. And so I began to search for ideas, for wisdom, for understanding. Because if you study happiness, you learn how to find it. If you study success, you move closer to embodying it. If you study wealth, you begin to attract it. The tragedy is not failure, it is failure to study. Let others drift through the days with fingers crossed, hoping fortune will knock. You must become a student of life's great game. And if you're still with me, let me take you one step deeper. My mentor taught me something simple but profound. When you find something that works, write it down. Don't trust your memory, it's a poor filing cabinet. Keep a journal. When a light flickers on, capture it, preserve it, and then do the second great thing, repetition. Review it, reflect on it, rehearse it. Go over it again and again until one day, without warning, that idea takes root. And once it takes root, it will begin to shape your words, your appearance, your choices, and eventually, your bank account. Ideas are the seeds of change, and repetition is the water that makes them grow. It's not the thing you want, it's the transformation of self that makes that thing inevitable. And let me pause right here and whisper a promise into your ear. If you stay with me just a moment longer, you'll learn the steps that have transformed ordinary lives into extraordinary ones. Steps that you can begin today. Now let us begin with step 1, a cornerstone of all lasting change. Learn how things work. Real change requires real ideas, and there is no force more powerful than a single idea whose time has come. I remember when I first told my mentor I didn't have any money. I believed it was my greatest problem, but he looked at me and said calmly, "That's not the problem." And I was puzzled. What could he mean? He continued, "The real problem is not the lack of money. The real problem is the lack of an idea that would create the money you seek." In that moment, a curtain lifted. I had spent years blaming the absence of dollars, never realizing I was missing the seed of thought that could produce them. And so I began to search for ideas, for wisdom, for understanding. Because if you study happiness, you learn how to find it. If you study success, you move closer to embodying it. If you study wealth, you begin to attract it. The tragedy is not failure, it is failure to study. Let others drift through the days with fingers crossed, hoping fortune will knock. You must become a student of life's great game. And if you're still with me, let me take you one step deeper. My mentor taught me something simple but profound. When you find something that works, write it down. Don't trust your memory, it's a poor filing cabinet. Keep a journal. When a light flickers on, capture it, preserve it, and then do the second great thing, repetition. Review it, reflect on it. Rehearse it, go over it again and again until one day, without warning, that idea takes root. And once it takes root, it will begin to shape your words, your appearance, your choices, and eventually your bank account. Ideas are the seeds of change, and repetition is the water that makes them grow. Now, if you're still curious, and I hope you are, let me show you 3 simple ways to discover how life success and transformation truly work. Because once you understand the rules of the game, you're no longer a pawn. You become a player, and soon after, a master. 1. Read. Every successful person I've encountered across the continents and across the decades shares one common trait. They are relentless readers. Their hunger to understand, to grow, to learn, it never sleeps. They read not because someone told them to, but because they must know. Their curiosity burns too bright to ignore. They read in the morning, they read at night, they read between appointments, they read to find answers, and they read to ask better questions. And here's something worth writing down. Formal education may make you a living, but self-education can make you a fortune. If all you have is what everyone else has, you'll get what everyone else gets. But if you make it your mission to become uniquely informed, your results will follow suit. Some men wait 10 years to learn a lesson they could have gleaned from 10 pages. One good book can save you 5 years of wrong turns and wasted motion. And oh, the treasure trove that sits untouched. Books written by men and women who climbed the mountain and then wrote down the trail. Books on how to lead, how to think, how to speak with power, how to build influence, how to rise from obscurity to significance. But most folks never open them. How do we explain that? You don't need to spend your whole night burning the midnight oil, but let me offer a standard. 30 minutes a day, just 30 minutes. Reading something uplifting, instructional, or inspirational can change the entire architecture of your mind. Not just once, not just when the mood strikes, but every day without fail. Now, don't just take my word for it. Listen to a variety of teachers, weigh their words, and then decide for yourself. Don't be a blind follower. Be an intelligent student. Examine everything. Keep what serves you. Discard what doesn't. That's how you build discernment. And now let me offer you the second way to gain insight into the workings of life. Listen. Get around people who are succeeding. Not just the loud ones, not just the showy ones, but those whose lives reflect what you desire. Then listen. Listen not only to what they say, but how they say it. Their words reveal what they believe. Their tone reveals what they've lived. And yes, you can learn just as much from failure. Study both the wise and the foolish. Ask, what do successful people read? What do unsuccessful people ignore? Learn both lessons. One shows you where to walk, the other where not to fall. Here's a piece of advice you won't hear often, but it may be the best of the evening. If you're struggling, take someone successful to dinner and ask questions. Not many will do it. Most say, he's rich, he can buy his own meal. That mindset keeps them exactly where they are. But imagine what might happen if you bought that dinner, not out of flattery, but out of hunger for knowledge. Spend $50, spend $100. It might just be the best investment you've ever made. Sit across from someone who has achieved what you admire and let the conversation unfold. If they speak openly for 2 hours, you may walk away with an idea worth more than 2 years of labor. Ideas that multiply your income, reshape your thinking, and reframe your vision. But remember, few people ever do it. That's why few people ever break free. And now, if you'll allow me to take you one layer deeper. 3. Observe. You can learn a great deal from watching. Yes, watching. Get near successful people and don't just hear their words. Watch their ways. Watch how they walk into a room. Watch how they greet a stranger. Watch how they respond under pressure. Success always leaves a trail. And if you're wise enough to trace the steps, you'll find the path. If a man earns $10,000 a month, observe how he moves. Yes, even how he shakes hands. Maybe his stride, his posture, his cadence carry more wisdom than his words. Someone may laugh and say, that's a silly walk. You can smile and say, yes, but it's a $10,000 a month walk. It's not about imitation, it's about observation. Train your eyes to see patterns. Train your mind to see meaning. Because there are two kinds of vision in this world. Sight with your eyes, insight with your understanding. And when you learn to use both, when you pay attention, you stop drifting and start designing. Whatever room you're in, be there completely. Look, listen, learn. Success rarely shouts, it whispers, but it whispers to those who are paying attention. So we've uncovered the first great step in personal transformation. Discover how things work through reading, listening, and observing. Now comes step 2, and this one separates the dreamers from the doers. Go to work. That's it. Simple. But don't let the simplicity fool you. Because when a person learns how to work on themselves rather than just their job, everything begins to shift. If there's anything worth getting excited about, let it be this: the ability to make yourself do what must be done, even when the feeling is absent. That's power. And that's how lives change. The question isn't, what can the world do for you? It's this: what can you make yourself do tomorrow that would begin to transform everything? That question alone should stir something within you. Because on any given day, even the most ordinary day, you can make a decision so bold, so clear, that your life takes a different path. You don't need permission. You don't need to wait. You only need to act. And now, let me reveal a principle that most overlook. Start with the little disciplines. Get excited about the small victories, because the little things are the seed beds of greatness. You see, no man suddenly becomes disciplined under pressure. The one who triumphs in battle is the one who drilled in private. You can't take on the great challenges of life if you haven't mastered the small ones. So make a list. What can you control today? What small, meaningful acts can you do without excuse, without delay? And do them. Not just for the result, but for what they make of you. Because each small act of discipline strengthens your will, sharpens your character, and prepares you for when the big challenges arrive. And they will arrive. If you skip the small stuff, you'll crumble under the weight of the big stuff. And here's a phrase that deserves to be etched in your journal: self-motivation. Now, I've always found that term amusing, because really, what other kind is there? You must become the fire starter of your own life. Don't wait for someone else to come along and spark your ambition. What if they never show up? What if no one ever cheers you on? No mentor, no pat on the back, no words of encouragement. That's why you need a better plan than hope someone will motivate me. You need the kind of plan that works even in silence, even in the dark, even when no one is watching. Because if you wait for someone to flip your switch, you may sit in the dark forever. Now, once you've learned something, act on it. Don't let your learning become a museum of theories. Don't become that person who knows everything but does nothing. If your learning only leads to knowledge, you'll end up frustrated and foolish. But if your learning leads to action, then, my friend, you will become wealthy. And I'm not just speaking of wealth in dollars, though those may come too. I speak of the wealth of spirit, the wealth of joy, the wealth of inner certainty and outward influence. I've known wealthy men who were bankrupt in soul. And I've known humble men of modest means who lived like kings. Because true wealth begins in the person, not in the purse. And now let me offer the third step in this process of personal development. And while it may be short, it is not small. Step 3. Respect the system. Here's a caution. Softly spoken, but fiercely important. Don't try to cheat the process. Don't try to trick the system. Find out how it works, then work it. With honor, with consistency. But don't try to sneak through the back door. There's always someone who learns just enough to begin cutting corners, trimming the truth, faking the steps, chasing shortcuts. But here's the danger. If you shortcut the path, you shortcut the reward. You may gain speed, but you lose strength, and what you build will not last. A shortcut life leads to a shallow life. So my challenge to you, if we were sitting down, just the two of us having a quiet talk, is this. Reach deep within yourself this year. Don't scratch the surface. Dig down. Find those buried treasures of potential you've neglected. You've got them. They're there, untapped, unused, waiting. You want to change something? Then change it. Change your morning. Change your conversations. Change your direction. And if you ever doubt whether change is possible, let me say it plainly. You can change. You don't have to be the same person you were yesterday, not even for one more day. But remember, that choice must be made. If you change nothing tomorrow, well, then nothing changes. And the most reliable forecast for the next 5 years of your life is simple. Look at the last 5. Unless you make a bold change, everything stays the same. But if you shift something, if you shift even one habit, one belief, one decision, you can reroute the entire course of your future. And isn't it wonderful to know that any day you choose, you can begin again? So let me ask you directly, plainly, without decoration. Starting tomorrow, what are you going to do that will shift the direction of your life? That's not just a good question, it's the right question, because whether your life changes or not starts with what you choose to do next. You see, if tomorrow comes and you change nothing, then nothing changes. And just like that, you can predict the future. You don't need a crystal ball, you don't need a fortune teller. All you have to do is look at the last 5 years of your life. What you see there, that's the pattern. And unless you do something bold, something intentional, something new, the next 5 will echo the last. Different calendar, same story. But here's the miracle built into every sunrise. Any day you wish, you can begin again. You can make a small adjustment, a new habit, a single choice, or you can go bigger. Change it all. Break the old routine. Design a new path. You can go fast, you can go slow. But what you cannot do is stand still and expect to move forward. It's choice time. Not tomorrow, not next month, now. And the best part, no one gets to vote on your future but you. So take the wheel, because this life of yours, it bends to the direction you set. And the moment you decide to steer it differently, everything changes.